This program is paid for by Investor Schooling. All opinions or statements expressed on the program are solely those of Investor Schooling or their guests and do not reflect the opinions of WPHT or Odyssey.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. This is Investor Schooling Live with your host, Larry Steinhaus, CEO of Investor Schooling.
And you are on.
Good afternoon and welcome to Investor Schooling Live. Investor Schooling Live is transmitting from the Investor Schooling Studios here in Investor Schooling headquarters. I am Debbie Anderson, and I am not the CEO of Investor Schooling. I am I am a liaison here, so I'm always here and always working. So thanks for listening, and get ready to learn some real estate investing, stock options trading, and so many more things about money that I bet you didn't know. You can call us anytime during the show with your questions at 1-855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137. That's right, we are a live program, so you can call anytime during the show, and we will take your calls. Do not worry about the topic that we're talking about. We'll take your call about anything that has to do with money, finances, and I'm going to say no to the politics at this point because I don't want to talk about politics. So we're not doing that one this time. We are also live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can leave comments there. If you are watching online, please say hi. The only way I know that you're watching on is when you make a comment, so please make sure to leave comments. Oh, I got some people making comments. That's so awesome. I love it. I get excited for that. All right, so Investor Schooling is located in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Oh, wait, did I miss a spot? All right, so at Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing, stock options trading, how to save money in taxes, how to be financially free, and we even give you the motivation to make money work for you instead of you working for money. So we teach you how to work smarter, not harder. Investor Schooling is located in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, right off the Newtown Bypass, serving New Jersey and the greater Philadelphia areas in a real brick and mortar building. You can actually walk in the door and get the vibe of coming in here and seeing what it's like to meet people who are entrepreneurial just like you, which is actually a really great thing. Our students are also located in several states with our exclusive web access to our classes and seminars. Get ready to learn something new and get ready to learn the business of entrepreneurship, real estate investing, and stock options trading from your friendly neighborhood financial expert, not Larry Steinhaus, but me, Dr. Deb Anderson. So if you have any questions, come in and call. So I have a couple things I was going to chat about today. And if you guys want to call in, that would be awesome. That would be cool. Hey, Pete. So I have some people, saying hello, which is awesome. I'm really glad you're supporting me because I'm by myself today. So you guys got to call in and just give me some stuff. But one of the things I wanted to talk about today was private lenders and protecting the private lenders. And the reason this came up, it came up real recently because I had somebody come up to me about a property and they wanted me to buy it, and I put it under contract. And it's a place in Philly, and that's okay. I went to go look at it. I don't have an issue buying properties in Philly. I know Larry's not a big fan of it, but I don't mind buying properties in Philly. I actually have this lady who does all my work for me, so she charges me whatever she charges me, and I'm like, make sure I have all my licenses, make sure everything's straight on the right and narrow, make sure all that lead paint-based testing is all done. I just want to make sure everything is rock solid, so in case I do have to go to court for any reason, there's no reason for me to lose. So I do have somebody do all that stuff for me. So when somebody came to me and they approached me about buying a property, I was like, yeah, let me know what's going on. So it looked like some of it would be subject to, because they had an original mortgage on it, which would be a first lien. And then I guess they wanted to pay off their private lender. And then it looked like it would need some more work, and it looked like there was a mechanics lien. I think it was like for $5,000 or $10,000. So I was interested in buying it. I went and took a look at it. The basement was a complete wreck. I mean, it was just a complete total wreck. And there were some things wrong with the property. Some appliances were stolen. I'm not sure if they were really stolen, though. I have some reservations about that. But anyway, I was still interested in looking at it. I was still interested in buying it. And then I started doing the title search on the property. And then I started getting the title search results back. And it turned out there was a lot more things going on with this. So I was able to secure a private lender. But once I saw the property and I saw the basement in disrepair, I knew it would cost a little bit more money to get it fixed up. So I asked my lender for an additional, because I originally asked my lender for $75,000, and then I said, hey, I looked at the basement. This is going to need a lot of clean out. This is going to need to be reworked. It was literally like a dirt basement that was piping just on the floor. Like the place was just a wreck. It would cost at least 10 or 15,000 at least just to fix it up. And then I needed money for closing costs, which is why I increased that request for 100,000 instead of 75. But as I was getting all these things back, I realized that, the property just wasn't worth what that person was asking for. So I ended up not going through with it. And the biggest reason, of course, that seller was pretty frustrated with me, and I don't blame him. I said I was going to buy the property, but there's a lot of things about that property he just really didn't disclose. So you give what you get, right? So I decided to not move forward with that property, and I was thinking about it because it was for the first couple weeks. I'm like, all right, I'll still do this. I'll still go through with it. It's going to put me really close to underwater, if not underwater. And, I had some reservations, and then I started really thinking it through, and then I got that title search back. And what made me decide to not buy that property is because I wanted to protect my lender. I wanted to protect my private lender. So I didn't care so much about the subject to part because I would have paid them. And I know I would have paid my private lender no matter what. But it's not fair to him for me to buy a property that I don't think is the best buy, and it's not the best opportunity. And it would, I'd be quote unquote stuck with this property for 20 plus years because I wouldn't be able to sell it because it would be underwater. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about my private lender because I have a really good relationship with him. I really like him. He's such a nice guy. And the last thing I want to do is put his money in a dangerous position. And if I bought this property, that's exactly what would have happened. I would have put his money in a dangerous position. So it makes me think about some of the things that we need to consider when we're borrowing from our private lender, because our private lender, they're not just money, they're a person, and they have a lot of expectations, and we have a responsibility to them to make sure that whatever we use their money for is going to garner the best interest and it's the best approach for them. So, I just wanted to think about that because it was really important. And it was enough that it made me change my mind, especially since I have such a good relationship with this guy. It kind of makes me think a little bit about the due diligence that we need to do whenever we're looking at any real estate. So a lot of you guys know, they call me Dr. Deb, because I have a PhD, so technically I am a doctor. But, one of the things I really like to work on a lot of my real estate interests are tax deeds and note investing. And with tax deeds and note investing, there's a lot of due diligence that goes up front, even more than just buying a wholesale deal or buying just a regular fix and flip. There's just more due diligence. And it comes into play, especially as I was looking at this property in Philly, when I was realizing that this just was not the best thing to do. So due diligence as in what are the comps in the area, how much is going to cost to fix up, what are the taxes in the area, what is the rental income. So one of the things that kind of annoyed me a little bit is because the seller was like, oh, you can get $2,250 out of this. And when I was looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I'd be lucky to maybe get $1,800 out of that. So that takes $400 some off the table right there. Plus the taxes, plus it would have been, $500 just for the subject to part, another $900 to pay back my lender, plus $300 or $400 maybe for taxes, and then plus the insurance in there. So it wouldn't be, it just didn't seem like a deal the more I started looking at the numbers and paying close attention to it. So that's why I want to really focus a little bit on the due diligence and all those things that you need to do. What does the title say? What's coming back? There was like a $5,000 or $10,000 mechanics lien on there, which is pretty insane. There's, they actually had a pretty huge lawsuit going against them, which I think is why some of the reason was to sell this property in such a rush to just get it off their hands. But I also am not looking to. One of the things that we always talk about at this school is help people and solve a problem. But there's a limit to that, right? You do want to help somebody and you do want to solve a problem. But if that problem is going to now be your problem and it's going to be even worse, I'm not really sure that's helping anybody. Right? So it has to be a good deal for everybody. It has to be win-win for everybody. So that's something I just want to make sure that people realize. It needs to be a win-win for everybody. So if it's a win for them and not a win for you, you're not really gaining anything from that. But if it's a win for them and a win for you, then absolutely. So, but think about that due diligence. Think about that that aspect of making sure that you're making the right decisions when you're looking at a property, and what are those different things that you need to be considering. Like I said, you want to look at comps, you want to look at why is it they're trying to sell, you want to look at what kind of liens are on there, you want to look at what kind of rents you can get in the area, you want to look at what the taxes are, you want to look at what kind of work needs to be done to this property. There was just, like I said, there was just so many things that were really just going against this property for me to buy it. And I know, like I said, I know that that seller is pretty PO'd at me, but this, I'd rather have a PO'd seller and not get myself into some crazy debt and upset my private lender. My private lender is more important to me than that seller, because I can go to another project, I can go to another opportunity and say, look, I think that this is going to be a better fit for us. Let's do this one instead. And I think he'll appreciate the fact that I was protecting his money over anything else. One of the things that I have learned from like a mentor, she had said to me is, whenever you partner with somebody or whenever you're getting private money from somebody, you have to remember that their money is more important than your money, because they're expecting you to make sure that their money is protected. And I thought a lot about that when this deal came up to me, when this deal started falling apart, when I saw all the different things about it that were just really just not in a good position. I was thinking about what that mentor had said to me. That money I need to protect more than my own. So my private lender's money, I wanted to make sure that nothing happened to it. I wanted to make sure that his money was protected and that there was nothing that could have gone wrong, and that if for whatever reason I needed to sell that house, that he would be able to get paid back in full. And because of all the things that were going wrong with that property, I just didn't think that was the case. And it's more important for me to protect his money than it was to protect me getting that house. So just something to think about when you partner with somebody. I think that integrity piece is something that's really important. This is my name on things, and I'm very, very not willing to put my name on things unless I know that they're done the right way. And I hope that integrity came through when I said no to that sale and I protected my private lender's money, so that either he spends it with me in the future or if he spends it with somebody else on a different deal. I just think that's something that's really important. So I just want to remind you guys that I'm here on my own. So if you guys want to call in and you want to have a chat with me, that would be awesome. Give me a call at 855-939-1137. Again, that's 855-939-1137. I have a bunch of people saying hello, and I really appreciate it. So I have Deb and Pete and Joe, and I think one or two other people that I can't see because I don't know how to do this thing. Larry's usually doing it. So just bear with me. All right, so on to the next topic. I have a couple properties in Philly, like I just was mentioning. And the reason this next topic is coming up is because of a presentation that somebody gave. So we had one of the guys that's like a friend to the school. He did a presentation on bad renters. And it was funny. It was really funny because he's like worst landlord. He's the worst landlord. His presentation is on being the worst landlord ever. And it was hysterical. Like his presentation was funny, but it was great because you got to learn a lot, right? A lot of the mistakes he made were like, what are you doing? And why would you do that? But one of the things that caught my attention when he was doing his presentation was that how somebody was getting ready to move in, but they didn't have all their money to be able to rent the apartment. And his response was, just give it to me with the first month's rent. And in my head, I'm thinking, why would you do that? I thought that was crazy. And I thought it was nuts. And I kind of get it. So I have this apartment for rent in Philly, and it's open. It's been open probably for 2 or 3 months. And part of it was my mistake in that I wasn't marketing it the right way. So I'll be the first to admit that I asked for guidance from a couple of guys at the school. On our Monday night masterminds, I'm like, how do I get this place rented? What do I do? What am I doing wrong? And then, I had some people that were scheduled and then they never ended up coming. And then a couple times I went, and it's like an hour ride for me, which is a real hassle. And I'd go up for an hour and then I'd wait there for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, waiting for these silly people to not show up. And then I'd leave and then I'd be annoyed, right? And then I'm driving home annoyed. And, it was just not a fun experience. So I did this, I think, 2 or 3 times, and it was just frustrating. So then, like I said, I reached out to the guys on the Monday Night Mastermind, and I'm like, hey, what am I doing wrong here? What's going on? And it was just, it takes, I have to say that when I open up and I show my vulnerabilities on the Monday Night Masterminds, it's good and it's bad because it humbles me enough to say, I need help and I need to ask for it. And I'll be the first to say that I struggle with that, asking for help. I get told that a lot, that I'm not very good at asking for help. But when I go to these Monday Night Masterminds, there's so many things that I know that either I don't know or other people just have more experience in, that I kind of have to open up my vulnerabilities a little bit and say, okay, you know what? I don't know this. I need some help. Help me out. What do you recommend? And at the same time, it's frustrating because it's like, I want to do this myself and I know that I can do it. So it's kind of like a push and pull a little bit. You have to recognize that you're not the best at everything and that you need help, but then you are also showing other people that you're not the best at anything and you need help. So it kind of is like a give and take. So I was having trouble renting this place in Philly. I really just wanted to get it rented because I don't want to deal with these non-rented places. It's just such a hassle. I just want the money to come in. I don't want to deal with it. And then have them stay in there for a year or longer. That would be awesome. And the only reason the other people left is because she moved back. She was actually from the original tenant was from the other, Western PA. And then she was going back. So I knew she was only going to be there for a year. So she left and everything was fine. And I just had to get this re-rented. So anyway, I went, I had that open house. I actually had people show up, which was awesome. Thank you, Investor Schooling family, for showing me what to do and giving me guidance on that. And then, so I had that open house. I had a couple people interested, and there's this couple, and they said all the right things, and they hit all the right questions. And here at the school, we tell you how to screen tenants. So they were screened and they did well. They passed all the tests and answered everything the right way and all the trick questions and all whatever. It all worked out. It was great. So then yesterday they were supposed to move in on December 15th, which I think yesterday was the 16th. I think I'm off a day, right? So they were supposed to move in December 1st. Something happened and then they switched to the December 15th. And I'm like, that's fine. And then they emailed me last minute. I was actually in the car getting ready to go to, I think it was Friday. It was Friday. I was getting ready to go into the car to go meet them. And they said, listen, can we switch to tomorrow? And I'm like, look, one more time change, because I think they switched it 2 times. This was the second time they changed the time and the date. I said, one more time, I'm going to think that you're not interested in this place because I don't have time to mess around. One of the things I always say to my tenants is, I'll be good to you if you're good to me. You're nasty to me, I'll be nasty right back. And I don't need this garbage, and I don't need this hassle. It's just really annoying. So, I got the message literally as I was in the car getting ready to drive over, and then we switched it to yesterday. So then I drove over, and I have the key on a lockbox, so I have the keys that I would actually give the tenant on the lockbox there, because I don't want to take the chance of forgetting them, because I've done that in the past where I've driven 45 minutes, forgot the keys, had to turn around and go back, and it's not a fun experience. I don't recommend it. So I have the keys on a lockbox there in this place in Philly. So I get over there, and of course they're running late because that's just how that works. And I get it because Philly, has all this traffic, and you could have to go 1.5 miles. It'll take you half an hour, and it's so frustrating. I think that's why everybody stays out of Philly. I don't know, but why I'm staying out of Philly more and more lately. So anyway, I get there 4 minutes late because I got stuck in traffic, and I get a text from them saying, hey, we're running late. We're stuck in traffic. Now, I know these people I think they live like 2 or 3 miles away. So how they showed up like 25 minutes late is beyond me. It just tells me that they clearly left late, because I know that it'll take you 10 minutes to drive a mile, but give me a break. Really? 25 minutes when you live like a couple blocks away? Whatever. So anyway, they finally show up. And I'm like, all right, I'm sitting outside, I'm goofing off, watching these stupid reels on Facebook where I always waste all my time. And they finally show up, and I'm like, hey, come on in. And, they get everything squared away. And then I'm like, all right, so you need to give me X amount for the move-in date. And then I'll get, I have the keys in my pocket ready to give it to them. And the other thing too was that they didn't sign the lease. So it was a husband and a wife, and they have, I think, a couple kids. And the wife signed everything. The husband didn't sign anything. And I kept telling them, you need to sign this. You need to sign this. So I brought the paperwork with me because Lord knows I am not letting anybody move in unless all the paperwork is signed and all the money's there and everything's good to go. Like, again, it makes me think of that bad landlord presentation, because he just didn't do that. Anyway, so we walk in, And I'm like, I need you to sign this paperwork just to make sure we're, on the straight and narrow. And I said, here's a couple things I found on the property. I put them down on the lease so you're not liable for it, like a chip here, a paint chip there, this here, whatever, just normal wear and tear things. So I put it on the lease so that they're aware of it and that they know that they're not going to be responsible for it. And then they say to me, Miss Debbie, and I hate when people do that. I hate Miss Debbie. Like a couple of my tenants do that. I don't know if it's an ethnic thing or something. Like I hate how people call me Miss Debbie. I hate that. Anyway, I prefer Dr. Debbie. No, I'm kidding. So I just prefer Debbie. But anyway, they're like, Miss Debbie, we have an issue. And I look at them. I'm like, what's the issue? Well, we don't have all the money. I'm like, okay, well, what do you do have? So they're like, we have X amount in cash. They're going to cash out me the rest. And I'm like, okay. So I said, so then you can switch the move-in date to January 1st, because unless you have all the money, I'm not giving you the keys and you're not moving in. And they just looked at me and they're like, okay, yeah, we can do that. I'm like, yep, that's how it's going to have to be. Because if I'm not getting all my money up front, I am not interested in having somebody move in. I'm not going to be that bad landlord that says, oh, just give me that extra $1,500 on the first month's rent. Because that's just not going to happen. Unless I have all that money up front, I am not interested. So I say this so that you realize what you should and you shouldn't do on move-in day, right? Because yesterday was supposed to be move-in day. So they were prorated from December 15th until December 31st. So that was like an extra whatever it was that they had to come up with. And according to them, the wife didn't talk to the husband, so they were short that money. And I'm like, it's not my issue. It's not written right here on the lease that you signed. The woman, she signed it, so she knew about it. It's all written out in print. And they said, well, can we? So then they start handing me this cash, and then he's given me like a couple $100 bills and a bunch of 20s yesterday, which I really hate. I really hate dealing in cash because then I have to go to the post office and then I have to get a money order so that I can deposit it. It's just, because the bank that I use for this is a special bank that's not local, and it's just such a hassle. And so whatever. So of course he gives me the cash, and then he gives me $1,000 in cash, and then he gives me another $1,000 in cash. But I count it; it comes out to $900. And I look at him. I said, "It's short." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm looking at him. I'm like, "Let me count it again." And then I counted out, and I put every 100, because it was all in 20s. This set was in 20s. And I'm like, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I do it all the way, and it comes out to 900. And I laid it out for him. Oh, okay. And the wife looks at the husband like, really? Like you're ripping her off already? So it's just like, you're about to move into my place. You're about to be my tenants. I already told you you're good to me. I'll be good back. You're nasty to me. I'll be nasty back. And this guy's already trying to rip me off $100 on the first day of move-in, supposed move-in, because he's short. So that, it just didn't sit well with me. It was really just kind of annoying. I have to say that. But it was just whatever. So then he hands me another $100 to make the $2,000. And he's, like I said, he's still short. Then they cash at me some more money. Then they want to Zelle me money, but like Zelle never works. I'm like, Zelle never works. I've been trying to get Zelle to work, and Zelle just never works for me. So I didn't do the Zelle, and they cash at me some more. But I'm like, I'll tell you what, until you get the rest of the money, they're like, we really want to hold this spot. I said, I'll hold this place because clearly you're interested. You're giving me all this cash. You're cash apping me money. Clearly you're interested in this place. I said, but until you give me all the money, you cannot move in. That's it. You just can't move in. So we walked around the place, and I wrote down all the little nuances, right? There's a chip here, there's a little crack here, there's scuffs on the wall, just, whatever, wear and tear. And I put it all in the lease, and I had them sign it. I had them initial it, so they do it. But I told them that until I get the rest of the money, that there's no chance that they're moving in, So that, I bring that up because of that bad landlord presentation. So while I could have just said, okay, just move in and give me the rest of the money on the first day of you move in, I'm not taking that chance. Because right now I'm holding almost all of their first, last, and security deposit minus, whatever they owe me. But they're not moving in until they get it. So they realize that I'm not playing around. But what else is interesting that I also put on my lease that I made them sign, and I made them initial, in a couple different places. So one was the money changed because, instead of them moving in on the 15th, now they're moving in on the 1st. So I changed that money and had them initial it. Because remember, the guy didn't sign anything online, which was really frustrating to me. So I had it all in place, like in person. the one thing that, two things that I added on there. So I pay for the sewer bill, which, I guess I have to pay for the sewer bill. But Philly sends it to the property, and they don't send it to me, which is really annoying. And the last tenant never told me about these, and I get this huge bill. So I wrote in the contract, I said, if you do not send me the bill, the sewer bill, or do not take a picture of it, that you will be responsible for paying for all of it. Because I guess I get so tired of these like silly people who really try to take advantage that I started putting this stuff into my contracts, into my tenant contracts, into my lease contract, my lease documents. So I have it in there, and they both initialed it along with my initial, and we dated it, that if they do not send me the sewer bill when it comes in, that they are responsible for paying all of it. And if I don't get it in time, it'll come out of their security, so they won't get any security back. So that was one thing I put in there. And they just looked at me, and then they signed it. I'm like, okay. So the other thing I put in there was, and we teach it here at the school, rent is due on the 1st, it's late on the 2nd, $150 late fee on the 5th, and eviction on the 15th. So it is in there in all the paperwork anyway, but on the lease document it says, other information, and I typed it in there. It's the same exact thing. Rent's due on the 1st, it's late on the 2nd, $150 late fee on the 15th, and I evict on the 15th. So I had them initial it just so that it was clear, really in their face, to say, I'm not messing around here. And they were both okay, and they signed it. So I have all this documentation in case something happens. And again, they are not moving in until the 1st of January when I give them that lockbox code, because until I receive that last of that Cash App payment, they're not getting anything from me. So excuse me. So it makes me think of that bad landlord presentation where it was just like, what are you doing? Don't mess around. These people are taking advantage of you. So here it's, and I'm not taking advantage of anyone. I just want to be clear. I just want to make sure that they have a clear understanding of my expectations so that they know what's going on. We had a guest come in a couple weeks ago, and one of the things that he always said was that, I've been a landlord, a small landlord for 20 plus years. I have all these places. How do I find the difference between being, they're friends of mine, or, how do I don't know how to be mean to them. That was, he was saying, he's like, I don't want to be rude to them. I don't want to be mean to them. And I guess I want to clarify that with, you're not being mean to them, you're not being rude to them, but these people are not your friends. This is a business. So I am very friendly with my tenants. I have, if they have a problem, they call me. If they don't have a problem, they don't call me. I don't want to hear if everything's great, because what's the point, right? If a window needs to be replaced, or, they found a crack somewhere, or I don't know, whatever, the toilet's cracked, or I don't know. I think the biggest things I get is some of the windows need to be replaced in one of my places. That's why I'm thinking that. Or I think there was some mold behind one wall, and I had to get that fixed. So it's like, when there's a problem, you call me and I will address it right away. That's, within 24 hours, I usually have somebody out there, and usually it's a lot sooner, because I don't want to, this is their home for me. For me, this is their home, and they should have a nice home to live in. I'm not a slum landlord. I will fix whatever needs to be done. I'll make sure it gets done. But I'm also not their friend. This is a business. You are renting my place so that you have a place to live in, and I am giving you my place to live so I can get money for it. So this is a business relationship. This is a business. This is not being your friend. This is not me having a wonderful relationship with you. This is not me sending you candy and sending you flowers and sending you whatever on the holidays. I don't care. This is not what this is about. This is a business relationship. So I think about that guy who came in a couple weeks ago, who says, I don't know how to be mean to them. You're not being mean to anybody. You're having a relationship with them. You're having a business relationship with them, and you need to remember that. So I think it's about time for a commercial. So I'm going to have you guys do the commercial, and then we'll come back, and then I have a couple more topics to talk about. Okay?
This is Larry Steinitz with him.
All right. You are on.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to Investor Schooling Live. Investor Schooling Live is transmitting from Investor Schooling Studios here at Investor Schooling headquarters. I am Dr. Deb and I am not the CEO of Investor Schooling. I am a student liaison and I show up here all the time. Thanks for listening and get ready to learn real estate investing, stock options trading, and so many more things about money that I bet you didn't know. You can call me anytime during the show with your questions at 855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137. We are a live program, so you can call anytime during the show, and we will take your calls. Don't worry about the topic. We will take your call about anything that has to do with money, finances, but not politics. I am not up for politics today. We are also live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can leave comments there. If you are watching online, please say hi. It's the only way I know that you're watching online is when you make a comment. Somebody left me a comment and asked if I wear my Trump hat when I show properties. Actually, I wore it as an ode to Larry just because he's not here today, so I figure I'd be nice and wear it. So at Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing, stock options trading, how to save money and taxes, how to be financially free, and we even give you the motivation to make money work for you instead of you working for money. We teach you how to work smarter, not harder. Investor Schooling is located in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, right off the Newtown Bypass, serving New Jersey and greater Philadelphia areas in a real brick-and-mortar building. Our students are also located in several states with our exclusive web access to our classes and seminars. Get ready to learn something new. Get ready to learn the business of entrepreneurship and real estate investing and stock options trading from your friendly neighborhood financial expert, Larry Steinhaus. Oops, nope, I meant to say me. So that's Dr. Deb today. So if you want, give me a call. I am here. I am waiting for you guys to call me so I have something to chat about. But if not, I have a couple more topics. So, give me a call and we are here to talk to you today. So I was just talking a little bit about the whole rental thing and how don't you dare give anybody the keys if they don't have the money. The one thing that I also, require is proof of insurance. So she actually showed me her proof of insurance as of the date that they move in. So she actually had date of insurance as of December 15th, even though she's not moving in until January 1st, which is great. So in case something happens to my property, at least she's covered and hopefully I'm covered. So that kind of helps a little bit. But, I guess that was it for my rental story. I do have one. Some of the guys at the school know about it. It was kind of interesting. I have this father-daughter. I have another rental property. I have a couple rental properties, but I have another rental property, and it's a father-daughter relationship, and it's a very weird relationship. I have to say it's weird, and it turns out that the daughter moved out about a month ago, which was enough to say, hey, notice to quit because she's breaking the lease. Of course, I didn't do that because why do anything the right way? You have to learn and get that experience. But luckily for me, in my lease, it says that I don't require a notice to quit. So I was able to go and file because they didn't pay rent. So I was telling you how here at the school, we talk about how rent's due on the 1st, it's late on the 2nd, $150 late charge on the 5th, and eviction on the 15th. So they didn't pay by the 5th, not that I expected them to because she had moved out, and I really think she was making most of the payments, the daughter, and the father I think is a deadbeat, but I didn't necessarily realize that at the time, so poo-poo to me for, missing that. Anyway, so by the 5th, I did not get any rent payment, and he wasn't responding to a text. I'm like, hey, because he actually did some work for me in other places, completely separate. Like whenever he did anything for me, it was an invoice and I paid the invoice. It had nothing to do with rent. It was a completely separate transaction. But anyway, he didn't pay. So what I did was, since she had notified me that she was moving out and no longer paying rent, I went, I think it was on the 9th of December, and I filed the paperwork for a landlord-tenant dispute because they weren't paying the rent. And it was great because it's a small town, it's a little bit of a drive for me. It's a small town. And on the paperwork, I have to fill out on the courthouse, the courthouse paperwork, it says, how much have you incurred? How much do you want? And I said, and I said to the lady behind the counter, I said, well, when's my court date? And she's like, looks at me. And I said, well, I don't know how much is going to be owed because of all these fees or all the extra things. So if it goes into another month, they would owe me another month's rent. So she's like, "Oh, we'll get you in this month." And I'm like, "In December?" She says this to me on December 9th. She's like, "We'll get you in this month." I'm like, "Okay." So this was, I think it was Thursday or Friday. And then I was away in Vegas for the weekend. And when I got home on Monday, there was a letter from the courthouse saying that my court date was Wednesday, this past Wednesday. So within 2 weeks, which is insane, within 2 weeks, I had a court date to kick these bums out. So I go to court. And that was this Wednesday. So I actually had the ladies' luncheon, and I had to cancel it. I felt so bad because I promote it so much here at the school. So the ladies we all got together, and we just kind of talk about investments or whatever else that is going on in our lives. And I felt terrible because I had to cancel it, because what's more important, the lunch date or the court case? Clearly the court case, because I need to get these bums out of my place. So, I send out a mass mailer. Hey guys, I need to cancel. And then everybody's like, "Good luck on your court date, good luck." And then the day of court, I had a couple of people texting me, "Hey, good luck in court, good luck in court." It was great. Actually, it was awesome. So thank you everybody for reaching out to me. It was awesome. So I go into court. I go there. It's a little bit of a drive for me. I left really early in the morning. I got there with about 45, 50 minutes to spare, which, if you know me, is really good, because I am habitually late, and I am really working on that. And I have to continue working on that, but I will get better at that. I am getting better at that. It's my whole mental thing. I am getting better at that. But anyway, I showed up like 45, 50 minutes early. I walk into the courtroom. There's nobody there. Well, actually, that's not true. There was a policeman there, and he was talking to the judge, but I didn't realize it was the judge at the time, because he didn't have his whole cloak on and, whatever. They were just chit-chatting, and then he left. And then I'm just sitting there waiting, and the policeman was like, "Did you check in?" I'm like, "Oh, I'll go check in." I go and check in, and the lady's like, "Yeah, okay." It was just, clearly they don't have a good communication, but I guess it's a small town courthouse and that's what they do. I don't know. So I go check in, and she's like, "Yeah, okay, you're here." And then I go back into the courthouse, and I sit there and I wait. So our court time was 10:30. So, it's 10:15, 10:20, 10:22, 10:25, whatever, 10:30. And the judge comes out, and I went with my husband, and the court, the guy, "Are you Robert?" And, and the policeman, he's like, "No, that they came in together. I think they're together." And he's like, "Okay, well, I like to give everybody a good 10-minute wait." So we're like, okay, we're sitting there, we're waiting. Nobody else is in the courtrooms. There must have not been anything going on. Again, small town, small courthouse. It was literally right next to some weird glass place, the courthouse. It was a weird building. So anyway, so we finally, 10:30 rolls around, 10:35 rolls around, 10:40 rolls around, 10:42 rolls around, and the judge says, "Okay." So he's like, "Do you want writ of possession?" I said yes. I automatically won by default. The guy never showed up. It was fantastic. Not that I expected him to show up, but if if I get summoned to court, odds are that I would go, because, God only knows what they're going to say that I'm going to be responsible for. But you would think this schmuck would show up. But, he doesn't show up. The daughter doesn't show up. So I win the case. And I'm super excited, because I'm just, thank God, right? So now I'm like, all right, so what happens now? Because in Philly, I know what happens. But in other places, it may change. It may be different. So I said to the judge, I said, "What happens now?" He's like, "Do you want writ of possession?" I said, "Yes, I do." He's like, he has 10 days, or this father-daughter couple has 10 days to move out. And if they don't have 10 days to move out, if they don't move out within the 10 days, then I come back, and then I filed paperwork again, and the constable will come out and kick them out. So, of course, 10 days is Christmas Day. I'm not going to go up Christmas Day, because I'm just not doing it. I'm not making that drive on Christmas Day. I mean, I'm Jewish, so I really don't care about Christmas Day. But Christmas Day is a big day for Jews. It's like we watch movies and we go to Chinese place. That's our ritual on Christmas Day. And it's a 3 to 4 hour wait for Chinese, in case anybody's wondering. So you do takeout, you order at lunch, so you can get it for dinner. That's the ritual. So anyway, so I'm not going up Christmas Day, but I will go up the day after Christmas to see if they moved out. And I'm really praying that they move out, so that I don't have to file anything and they can just get out. So of course that leaves me with two things, right? One is, they need to get out. Does that mean they're going to ruin my property in the process? So, I guess whatever, that's a chance. I mean, the other thing to think about is, I got this property for like $2,700 a couple years ago, and I get just about $1,000 rent for this. So if they do a little bit of damage, not that I want that, I'm already up. I really don't care. And the other thing, too, to consider is that I have their security and their last month's rent. So I am still already up because I filed, I think, on the 9th. And, and I normally don't file to the 15th, but I knew that they weren't going to pay. So I'm still up, quote unquote, 2 months worth of rent or, like I said, security and last month. So I'm still up, which is another reason why you want to file on the 15th. So it doesn't take, so you at least get some of that money. You at least get to hold on to some of that money instead of waiting 4 months, for somebody to not pay rent, do it right away. So, again, I'm going to go back up on the 26th, which is a Monday. And I'm going to go up to check out a couple of the properties that I have up there because I'm doing some rehabbing up there. And I'm going to go and see if they're gone. And if not, then I'll go back to the courthouse and I'll file to get them out of there. So, and then I think they have 10 days to, I think once I file, it's 10 days for the constable or the sheriff or whoever it is up there to physically kick them out. So hopefully the place will be in good shape. But what's interesting is that when I went to go rent this place, I got so many people interested in renting out this place because there's not a lot of places to rent up where I have a bunch of properties up in this one area, and there's not a lot of rentals there, which is why I keep buying up there. One, because it's cheap, and two, I can get rentals. I can get rentals without too many people. A couple people keep asking me when my rehabs are going to be done because they're already ready to move in. So I know I can up the rent because, of course, I'm going to up the rent. It'd be silly of me not to. So I'll up the rent, maybe another $50 or $100, and then I'll be able to rent it out pretty quickly. And then I'm looking forward to moving these deadbeats out and moving some more normal people in. And I will listen to the class that we have on going through the tenants to make sure I ask all the right questions and make sure I do all the right things before I let have any other deadbeats move in. So one thing that I wasn't doing before that I learned to do from that bad landlord was the PA docket. I never looked at them before, and it was interesting because when I was telling you about the tenants that I was moving into my Philly property, I looked up the PA docket, and I found out that the husband had a couple of tickets for not having his license on him. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But there was nothing in there about not paying their rent or getting kicked out, which made me feel a lot better. So if the guy just forgets to bring his license everywhere, it's really not my issue, and I don't care. But and they were at their previous landlord for 5+ years, which is also kind of nice. And I spoke to her, and she seemed good. So, but like I said, I'm looking forward to getting these guys out of there and getting that rented out, raising the rent, moving forward. So that'll be really good. And then hopefully, in theory, although another one of the things that everybody at the school knows about is that I'm rehabbing a couple places up there too. I have a quad and a duplex that I'm rehabbing, and the duplex should be done according to the contractors by the end of the year. Whether that happens or not is really, supposedly all 6 units were supposed to be done, and that's not going to happen. So now they say that the quad will be done at the end of February. I don't know. But what's nice about that, actually, I put a contract together based on some of the suggestions that I got from people here at the school. I tell you, what's great is that I really show my vulnerabilities when I ask for help because it just makes me feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But I guess in some of these things I don't, and I need to realize that I need to ask for help. And there's a lot of contractors here at the school, a lot of guys who really know their stuff when it comes to how to build a house from start to finish, or what are the different things that they need to consider, and things that I just don't know a lot about. So I have to humble myself and ask these questions and feel like a schmuck when I get these, why didn't you do this and why didn't you that? But one of the things that a couple of the people recommended is that, I put a contract together because the contractors wanted more money, and I'm just like, get out of here. You kidding me, right? So what we ended up doing was that I put a contract together that they get paid every Friday, provided they give me a minimum of 20 pictures or a video every day. No pictures, no progress, no payment. So if they don't send me pictures, I don't have to pay them for that week. And that has been nice. So now every day at 4:30, I get a video. Usually it's like a 3-minute video on their phone of them going from place to place to place to place on every single thing that they've done, which is nice because now I am seeing their progress. And it's great. I get to see that progress. And it also saves me time because I'm not traveling up to go see that. Because I don't know, I guess I must be getting older or something, but all these like 2-hour drives there and back are just, they wear on me now. So, so I usually have somebody come with me so that I'm, not listening to a book all the way up. Otherwise, I'm listening to a book all the way up. But, people can't come with me and they give me some suggestions and some recommendations, which is really nice. But now I get those videos every, like I said, those 3-minute videos, usually around 4:30. And the other thing that I put in the contract, which is really nice, is that if they don't finish by December 31st, which was the agreement, that they lose $150 per day. So now they said that the duplex will be done, but I also don't have to send that last payment because it gets taken out of their pay since it's not going to be done. So it really seems like I'm gonna be saving a decent amount of. Well, I don't know if I'd say saving, but I don't have to send that last payment because they're not. It's not going to be completed. So what's going to happen with that? I'm not exactly sure. I'm thinking and hoping for the best. I have to stay positive and, keep in that positive mindset because that's essential for this kind of work. But at least I'm getting some progress. And I already had a couple people interested in that duplex up front. So it's actually 2 bedrooms on top and it's 1 bedroom on the bottom. And I recently went to a tax deed auction and I bought the lot right next door because I realized that parking was going to be an issue because in that township, every unit has to have 2 parking spaces. So that means I need 4 for the front and then 8 in the back, so a total of 12. And on that one side, that one lot, there's only enough parking spaces for 3, which is an issue. So I realized that they actually had a duplex on the lot right next door, and I just didn't get a chance to buy it before they knocked it down. So I don't know if that was good or bad, but it was probably good, because now that I'm rehabbing it, I am going to make a parking lot on the front part of that, and I'm actually going to be building about 8 townhomes right next to that quad in the back. So what we're doing with what I've been talking with the architect is that we're going to have a garage and then the driveway, which will give them that 2 spots so that I don't have to worry about any more parking in that area. That'll be nice. And then I'll have that parking in the spot in the front for the other units for that quad in the back, which will really save me. So it kind of worked out really well that way. So who knew, right? And what's interesting is that the only reason I even knew about it is somebody was doing their homework for a tax deed auction. I didn't realize it was even coming up because I was just going to take a break. And then they were looking at that lot and they thought that my quad and duplex were what were going on sale. And as soon as I realized it, I went and checked it out. So when I went to that auction, I just kept my hand up and I made sure I got that lot next door. Because if I didn't get that lot next door, man, I would have been in some serious trouble with the township and with the laws trying to get all that stuff squared away. That would have been quite interesting. So it's interesting how that stuff it just happened to be that day that I was there and they happened to be looking. It was really just fortuitous and serendipitous. It was just crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. So I think, so we have a couple minutes left. So if anybody wants to give me a call real quick, 855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137. So the last thing I was going to talk about, and there was 2 things I was going to talk about. And I started a little bit on mindset and how I need to humble myself and get myself in the right mindset. And one of the things I do in my office, I have an office out of my house because I work from home. And on the wall, I went to the dollar store actually, and I got those, you know how like in grade school when they're teaching kids how to write, they have those like white strips with the dashes in between, they're teaching kids how to write. I bought, a pack of 50 of those for like $1. And it was great. And then I started writing all these affirmations on my wall. So my whole wall is covered in affirmations. I just went to, I was just in Vegas at a recent seminar, and he kept saying, what was the words he was saying? He was saying, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. And I thought he was wrong, because it's not that I can do something, it's that I will do something. And I think that change of words in I will over I can or I want to make such a difference, and it's the whole world. So I have on my wall that I will do something, I will do this, I will do that. I have in there, I will let flow back into my life. I was reading a book and it was talking a lot about flow and letting the flow back into your life. And, I forget who said it, but we have it up here. It says, if you say you can't do something or you say you can do something, you're right. So that's why I say, when I said earlier, I am getting better at being on time. I will do better at being on time, because it forces my mind to get into that zone that it tells my unconscious, my subconscious that I need to get off my hiney and start working on it to do it. And it gets it going. So I have a lot of affirmations in my house. I will do this. One of the things that I also have, and somebody had brought it up at the school, I think it was like January, February last year, what are your goals? What are your goals for the year? And I always make goals up for the year. And I have something else I got at the dollar store. It's the same kind of thing. It's just like it's like a Post-it. It goes up on the board. And it's a write-offable, you wash it off. And I put up my goals there. And I look back at them, and I have met all my goals. There was one goal that I didn't meet, and I'm a little frustrated about it. But, it's going to be on my goal sheet for next year. But out of the 8 goals I had in there, I met all of them but one. And some of the ones that were most important to me were getting into certain people's circles. Like there's a couple people that I really look up to and I really admire. And I had it in that I want to get into their circle. And over the year, I had gone to events or I had reached out, and now I'm in their circle. There are people that I can call up and say, yeah, what's going on? Hey, how you doing? And I just reached out to one of them last week. I was dropping something off. I was picking something up at somebody's house to drop it off somewhere else. And I'm like, I need help with this. And this guy is very well known. He's well over a multimillionaire. And it's just like, I need help. I'm not sure what to do here. Can you give me some guidance? He's like, Deb, how you been? What's going on? Haven't heard from you. Why aren't you reaching out to me more often? And, I reach out to this guy maybe every 2 or 3 months. So every 2 or 3 months, even was just like, where you been? What's going on? I haven't talked to you. So it's so cool when you set those goals for yourself and you really kind of push yourself to make them. It makes such a difference. And I'm telling you, those affirmations I have on my wall are the world to me, because when I feel like I'm struggling, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I feel, I don't know, everybody has those bad days where you're like, oh, what's going to happen today? I look up at my wall and I read all these affirmations. I will do this. I will do this. This will not be an issue. I will keep moving forward. I will keep stepping forward. I'm on my path, reaching my journey, or I will make, X amount of dollars this year, or one of my goals was to not work so hard in my writing business and to have other people work for me. And this year I have like 16 people working on a project for me, and I'm not writing any of it, which was in my goals. And it took me a couple months to realize that. It's amazing what your mind will do for you when you set those goals and look at them every day. So I want you to think about that. And I want you to go to the dollar store and get those stupid little dollar sheets that are a little, they're 5 inches long and an inch wide, and put those affirmations up on your board, because when you see them every day, you realize and you start to move forward towards those goals. It's amazing what happens. So I don't know. I think I'm running out of time. Do I have a couple minutes left? Nobody.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, yes, indeed.
Yeah, you got a couple minutes.
I got a couple minutes. Okay, so, all right, so the last thing, so we're doing a thing on mindset. There's one other thing that actually, I went to this event in Utah a couple months ago. I think it was over the summer. I don't even remember. I feel like I go away every month nowadays. My husband gets so annoyed at me. It's kind of funny. I actually took January off because I need some time to not go away. Anyway, so I went to this event in Utah. And one of the guys were speaking, and he did something that was, it really caught my attention. It was something I wanted to do here. But he was talking about that one person who changes the trajectory of your life, right? He's talking about that one person that it's like a domino effect that changes the trajectory of your life. So you probably won't believe this. A lot of you guys who know me, I'm very happy and very happy-go-lucky, and I'm pretty friendly with a lot of people unless you annoy me. And then, but I'm usually pretty easy to talk to. I'm very upfront, which puts some people off, because if you don't like to hear the truth, don't ask me the question. But for the most part, I'm right here. But there was a time that I was really a bitch. I was really nasty, and I was really not friendly to a lot of people. And it was a long time ago. I was in my early 20s. I was working, at a pharma company like years ago. Anyway, so at the company that I was in, they took over another pharmaceutical company, and those people kind of came over, and they hated us just by definition of working for the original company. And we had nothing to do with it. But anyway, one of these people, ended up becoming my one-up boss. And she was miserable. She was miserable. She was just, everything about her was miserable. She was very negative. She hated people. She was like the cat lady. She didn't talk to her kids. She had 3 cats and her world revolved around her cats. Like everything in her office was all about cats. She had cartoons about cats. Like, she was really, honestly, the cat lady. And I met her. She was really smart. She was really a very brilliant lady. She was very smart. And in the department that I was in, or that I specialized in, I had to work with her pretty frequently. And she was, like I said, she was really smart, and I was lucky to be able to learn from her. I just didn't like to spend any time with her because she was just very negative. And I realized when I met her, and as I got to know her,
1 minute.
Thanks. When I got to know her, that I was her. That would have been me in 20 years. If I didn't change the trajectory of my life and stop being such a bitch, that I was going to be her in 20 years, where nobody wanted to speak to her and nobody wanted anything to do with her. She wouldn't be married. Her kids wouldn't talk to her, and she'd be living by herself. So I have to thank that woman, because she changed the trajectory of my life and made me realize I needed to start not being so nasty and arrogant and such a bitch to people. So think about that one person in your life who changed that trajectory and thank them. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week or at the school on Thursday.